What else do you remember about some of the people in your neighborhood?
There were two of my mother's very great good friends, Marie Striscoe and Mary Plenchar, and my mom. And the three of them would walk every night from John Street past Barron's. If somebody was laid out, they'd go in there and look to see who it was. If it was somebody they knew, they'd say a prayer. Then they'd walk all the way down to Dunkin' Donuts, get a Dunkin' Donuts, come back, stop at Barron's, go to the bathroom, and then walk on home. That was their nightly walk. John Street, growing up, from the time I was little, it was a great street. There was only 3 girls on the street, Joan Backus, Marge Jarris, and myself. At that time, it was mostly, well, it was all boys. It seemed like every house had boys in it. But they let us play baseball. Of course, they'd put us out in the back lot. I remember when the lot where Wieners is at, the city would come and freeze that in the wintertime. We'd ice skate there. Wieners wasn't there at that time. And I remember going to the community center for the doll exhibits that they'd have. Bring your best doll, and in fact, that one year I think I won because my mother made the clothes for the doll, so I won a ribbon from that. And then they'd have marble contests, and my uncle would compete in the marble contest. But growing up on John Street was a great time. I mean, there was nothing to worry about. Everybody knew everybody. During the war, my dad was air raid warden on John Street, and it's just so many things that were nice. And I lived there until I got married, and it was 1950. 1950, moved to East Chicago, Black Oak, and then to East Chicago.
The air raid warden.
Yes.
What did they do? What was an air raid like?
They wore a white hat. They had a flashlight, and then my dad would walk down the street. The air raid warden would blow, and my dad would walk down the street, make sure every house had its lights out. No lights were on. Supposed to be on, and he would just make sure to check within his area that he was designated to watch, and then he would just go back home and report to wherever they had their meetings.
So was this a daily thing? You
Yes.
did it every day?
Yeah. Well, no. I would say it was, I'm thinking now, every other week, because this was exactly during the war, every other week was, they never designated one certain day. It was whatever day that they decided to blow the air raid warden, and then the air raid wardens would do their
Now, they have air raid alarms going off?
Yes.
Testing? What was that
yes.
like?
Loud, very loud. And
Where was the alarm?
I
at?
think it was at City Hall or either at the fire station at that time.
Okay.
I mean, I was so young I didn't pay much attention. I was more interested in, we would be sitting on somebody's porch laughing because we were sitting there in the dark.
What did you have to do when the alarm went off?
Like I say, get the lights shut off in your house, make sure there was no lights that were shining anywhere, because they said, well, that would be how a foreign airplane could, find the. They were worried about Standard Oil.
Standard Oil.
And that was why they were doing these during the war. Make sure.
Worried that it would be a target.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I think that was always a worry, because even when I was in grade school, we had our blood type tattooed on the side, because at that time they thought if they came and bombed Standard Oil, they would have to know our blood type, not thinking that we're all going to be incinerated. But I remember going into the principal's office, and the nun and the school nurse was there, and everybody got a tattoo. I have A+ on my side, if anybody wants to know.
So was that scary, painful?
Yes, well, it was in the 50s, and at that time, I mean, compared to now with COVID, I don't remember if my mom and dad had to sign any kind of paper or anything, but all the children went in and got the tattoo on their side there with their blood type.
So it was like a big line of kids
Yes,
going
yes,
in?
and
Is
the
that how it
nuns were
was?
there, and this was I graduated 8th grade 1956, so it was like 1950 something, when they were worried about, the Russians coming and bombing Standard Oil. And
this
that we
was
were
at
always
St. John, you went?
St. John Grade School.
Right.
Yes, yeah. So it was something, and living so close to Standard Oil, we just thought nothing of it. But this was something that they, when they were making bomb shelters and everything all over the country, it was okay, we're right on top of Standard Oil.